UFC 308 takes place this Saturday, October 26th in Abu Dhabi. I'm going to be going over the entire breakdowns for each and every single fight, starting with the prelims, ending with the main event. I'm going to give you guys a detailed breakdown on what I think is going to happen. If you wish to do so, bet, I don't know, legally, I would hope. And you can take my advice as you will. But I'm going to let you guys know what I think for each and every single fight. So, starting off, we have a lightweight bout between Ibo Aslan and Rafael Corcuera, who I believe it is his UFC debut. He's kind of an older guy, but Ibo has one fight in the UFC, and it was against I believe his name was Anton Turkali. That's right. And he took a lot of shots from Turkali, and Turkali's not known to be a very good opponent. He's known to be, I mean, he's 8-4. You know, he doesn't have a lot on his record, but he was able to piece up Ibo Aslan a little bit. He busted him up, had a bunch of swelling in his eye. He had a cut underneath his eye before he landed a big overhand right and put Turkali away. But if you've seen pictures of this guy, Rafael Corcuera, I think he's like in his mid-30s. He looks like he's on steroids. Like, the guy is absolutely shredded to the gills. And I've done some research. He's got a lot of power behind his shots. And he's tall and he's rangy. I don't know if Ibo's going to be able to take those shots. You know, Rafael likes throwing these switch kicks to the body, or these off switch stances. He likes firing that shot underneath the elbows, lowering the guard, and then firing the right hand over the top. I think that could lead to Ibo Aslan's demise, unfortunately. So I have Rafael Corcuera by, I think that's how you say it, by the way. I could be butchering that. Don't fact check me on that. But I have Corcuera by TKO in the later rounds. All right, next fight is a welterweight bout between Rinat Fakhretdinov and Carlos Lille. I think that's how you pronounce it. Also, I don't want to see anything about like, oh, you said this name wrong. I don't care. I couldn't care less. Half these guys we're not gonna know a year from now. So, you know. What does that make me, though? I'm the one talking about him. I'm the fucking loser over here. Anyways, the first thing I have written down was that Fakhretdinov fought Nicholas Dalby. And if you remember who Nicholas Dalby is, a lot of people think that guy, like, sucks. I think he beat, like, one of the Bomb-themed brothers, whichever one's the heavier one. And they were supposed to be the next big thing. Nicholas Dalby's not that bad. If you look at some of the fights that Dalby has had. Also, if you don't know who Nicholas Dalby is, do some research. Just look him up. Look who he's fought. You'll know. You'll know right away. You're like, oh, it's the white dude with the braids or whatever, and he's, you know. And Fakhretdinov fought Dalby, and he beat him pretty handedly. So in hindsight, it's like, that's a pretty good win, you know, and he does have a full fight camp. Carlos Lille, or Leal, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's coming in on short notice, so in that sense of it, it's like, I think Fakhretdinov is well-rounded enough, and he has a full fight camp, and he's prepared. I think he should be able to get the job done. This Leal dude is another guy who looks like he's just on absolutely everything known to man. I'll show a picture for you, whichever one I pick. I don't know. She could be next to me for all I know. But yeah, that guy looks like he's on the gear. Leal has some good wins from what I saw. This is another guy who it is his first fight in the UFC, but he had a good fight against, I think it was, what's his name? It's like the Sabudu Sai or something like that. He had a split decision with that guy. This guy fought in the PFL for a long time, so he's fought some good guys over there. But can he step in on short notice against a guy who his name ends in a V, which we know historically, if you're going to put money down on a fight, and there's a guy who's fighting and his name ends in a V, bet on that guy. Can he do that? I don't think so. I think this is a closer fight than people think. I have Renat Fakhretnov winning by UD or SD. Split just by decision. I think he'll be able to mix in the takedowns as well as the pressure. He does have a full fight camp. I think he can use his gas tank to his advantage. So I have Fakhretnov by decision. Anyways, on up the card we go. We have Ismail Nardiev versus Bruno Silva. Nardiev was in the UFC, I remember, a few years back, and I think he's like 2-2 in the UFC, and his most recent loss in the promotion was to Sean Brady, which he lost pretty handedly just because Brady mixes in double legs and he's very offensive with his grappling, and Brady's one of the better guys in the weight class, so at middleweight. So, in hindsight, that loss is not as bad as it seemed. He kind of hung in there a lot better than other guys would. So, that being, sorry, I just realized I put my headphones back on. I don't know why I did that. Bruno Silva, his last fight against Chris Weidman. The narrative on that fight is that Chris Weidman was just eye-poking him to death. Which he did. That is why the fight got stopped. But look at the strike count. Rewatch that fight. Chris Weidman is not beating the brakes off him, but like he was handedly winning that fight. I'm actually gonna look at the strike count. I wanna look this up. It was not like Bruno was having like these crazy good moments and he was winning the fight, and then all of a sudden he got poked in the eye a few times and that was it. Chris Weidman had the total strike count 88-30. He was winning the fight on damage too, by the way, other than the, obviously the eye pokes. But I think Bruno Silva is past his prime, I guess. Would you even call it that, though? I mean, he fought, Shara Bullet beat the living tar out of him for 3 rounds or whatever it was, and Brendan Allen walked through him in like a round. And obviously the Brad Tavares thing, but Brad Tavares is trash. So, I don't know. I just don't think that. Like I just don't think that he's who he used to be. When he fought out Alex Pereira, he didn't look bad. He mixed in takedowns because he needed to, because he's not going to outstrike a world-class kickboxer. But I think from what I saw when Nardiev fought Sean Brady, I think that Nardiev will be able to pick at range. I think he'll be able to start to kind of piece him up, work off of a jab, work off of his back foot. I think it'll be a lot of pushing and pulling, but I think Nardiev will land crisper shots, turn his jab over, back up Silva. Silva will eventually realize the striking exchanges aren't working for him. He'll try and shoot takedowns. Nardiev's got good takedown defense too. So, I think I have Ismail Nardiev by unanimous decision. I think he cruises to a decision. I don't see a finish really happening unless it's some freak accident like the Weidman fight, but I think Nardiev gets it done handedly. All right, I took my headphones off because they were bugging me. But next up, bantamweight bout: Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. From what I remember, Basharat is a huge favorite, huge favorite. Let's see, minus 625. I mean, I don't see it as that big of a discrepancy. Victor Hugo has some really good wins. Basharat is 3-0 against 3 undefeated guys in the UFC. And his grappling is very offensive, and he knows when to use it, how to use it. He's known for kind of muscling out wins through his gas tank and through his grappling. It's a very Dagestani style, maybe. I wouldn't say that, though, because he can strike really well, too. But his gas tank is what gets him through a lot of fights. And Abu Dhabi's it's going to be really humid. It's going to be really hot. So in a lot of these fights, you kind of want to lean toward whoever is going to have the better gas tank. So that being said, Hugo has 14 fights since 2015, and he's undefeated since then. Obviously not in the UFC. I think let's see, actually, I believe that he's had one other fight. He fought. That's right, Pedro Falcao. He was supposed to fight Daniel Marcos. That fight got canceled, but he's 1-0 in the UFC. He hasn't lost in 9 years. He has really good scrambles off his back. He's really good fighting on the inside. He uses a lot of these stance switches through the overhands. As he throws the overhands, he'll switch stances, kind of lean off, try and find a takedown off of it. He's also very good in the grappling department. I don't see it as just this landslide of a matchup as the odds say. But that being said, I do still have Basharat winning. I have him by late round submission or just decision. I just think the gas tank is going to be too much. I think that's going to play too much of a role. But that being said, Hugo has some heavy hands, heavy hands, and he throws a lot of overhands. So if he doesn't land, he could get submitted. He could get tired, taken down, strangled. Don't be surprised, though, if Hugo lands a knockout blow with one of those big overhands or one of those big looping shots around the guard, gets inside, or maybe an exit on a clinch, he fires an elbow. Who knows? But I do have Basharat by late submission or by decision. Next up, heavyweight bout between Kennedy Nzechukwu and Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett is literally just an obese guy who trains MMA. He's a fan favorite, I guess, because of that wheel kick KO that he had, and then he did like the front flip. If you guys know what I'm talking about, look up Chris Barnett. It's probably the first thing that comes up. I don't know, man. Like these half of the heavyweight roster is just fat guys that like kind of know what they're doing, I guess, you know? And then you get into the top 15 and they're still fat guys like that you just don't know, like they don't know what they're doing. There's no technical stuff to it. It's just all, yeah. Anyways, Nzechukwu, he is a light heavyweight. He's moving up, so he's not gonna have that weight cut. He is a little bit chinny, but he's extremely powerful. Obviously we saw Dustin Jacoby. He knocked him out. But before, he knocked out Carlos Ulberg. If you guys know anything about anything UFC related, you know who Carlos Ulberg is. You know, he's at the top of 205 right now. He KO'd Carlos with a nasty right hook. hit him clean on the chin, put him out cold. But there's no weight cut now, so I'm seeing maybe that weight cut doesn't drain him. It doesn't take away from his chin. That's what I see happening, possibly. But Barnett he's just a fat guy, man. Like, he can grapple, I guess. I don't know, dude. He's not very good. That, along with he pulled out of his last fight because his house got swept up by a tornado. You know, he's probably not all mentally good. That happened like a month ago. You know, so I don't see this going well for Barnett. I think let's check the odds. Actually, I want to see if this is yeah. Nezuchukwu was minus 650 over Chris Barnett, which those odds make a little bit more sense in comparison to the Bosharat ones. So Barnett hasn't fought in 2 years. Nezuchukwu's got heavy hands. He's moving up a weight class. I have it by first or second round. KO, TKO, however he wants, really. He's I mean, I think Chris Barnett's like 5. I think he's shorter than me. I think he's like 5'8". 5'8". He's 5'9". He's shorter than me. Like, bro. And he weighs in at the heavyweight limit. So, I don't know, man. He's going to get put away early. Surprise, surprise. I don't know. Nezuchukwu, TKO or KO in the first or second. That's how I have it. All right, up next, we've got middleweight bout between Abus Magomedov and Bruno Ferreira. I said earlier, if there's a guy that has V at the end of his name, to bet on that guy. Hold on now. This could be different. Abu's gas tank fucking sucks. It's really bad. I mean, his losses in hindsight aren't that bad because he fought Strickland. Strickland beat the crap out of him. Okay. If I think he fought Caio Borralho as well. Borralho had him hurt at one point. Could have finished him. Caio, get your shit together. You're going to fight Izzy. Let's get a finish here, please. Did the same thing against Cannonier. We'll get to you later, Caio. The fighting nerd. Not so nerdy, I would say. Let's use your head a little bit. Finish the guy. Pause. Magomedov's gas tank blows. Okay? It's really bad. That being said, Abus is very dangerous in the early rounds. I said earlier that humidity is going to play a role. Heat is going to play a role in Abu Dhabi. His gas tank's going to run out even quicker. He throws volume in the first round. He throws power in the first round as well. He doesn't think with his head. He's brain dead. I think it's just like an inbred thing, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But that's actually that's not true because, Khabib, well, they're on steroids. Anyways, first round, if Ferreira can get through that first round, it might not be so good for Abus. So, I mean, Bruno fought someone recently. He had a really good hard-fought win. He knocked someone out else in the first round. Oh, he knocked out Phil Haas. I could knock out Phil Haas. I could knock out Phil Haas with a jab if I wanted to. Not that I would because I feel bad. He's 12-6 and he might not even be on the roster anymore for all I know. But he's fought some good dudes, and he puts them away. He fought Gregory Rodriguez. He fought Nursultan Rizaboyev as well. I'm pretty sure. Which I think he lost that fight actually. I think he lost to KO. Which at the time we thought Rizaboyev was the boogeyman or whatever because he's like 6 foot, He's like a 6'6", middleweight or something. I don't know. But Fajita is a gritty guy, and he stands his ground and he throws hard shots back against the cage. If he can get through the body kicks early, if he can get through those power shots and not fold, I think his gas tank is more reliable, and I think he holds his power a lot better than Magomedov does in the later rounds. That being said, I'm going to bank on Fajita getting to those later rounds and winning by either late round KO or by decision, by unanimous decision. Because I think once the second round hits, I think Magomedov is just going to be like sucking air, not knowing what the hell to do. It's like, damn, I should have hit up Khabib, brother. I need to inject the steroid, brother. Some shit like that. I don't know. Fajita by late round KO or TKO or decision. Dominant decision. All right, next up we would have a bantamweight bout between Said Nurmagomedov and Daniel Santos, but I guess Daniel Santos pulled out, so I don't know. Next up we have a lightweight bout between Mateusz Rebecki and Miktabek Orolbai. Rebecki looks like he's like the poor guy looks like half of his arms got sawed off or something. I don't even know. Like, look at the picture. It's gonna be on this side, I think. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, look at his arms. Like, the poor guy. I mean, his reach is it's. I want to see. I actually didn't see. His reach is 66 inches. Like, not good. Not good. But he's fighting a long dude. Pause. In Miktabek Orolbai. Rebecki is a short and stocky guy who does get on the inside. He likes fighting through the clinch and fighting with these big, heavy exchanges in the pocket. Which he likes getting his opponent up against the fence, which a lot of times doesn't even work out because he does like this Alex Pereira thing where like he starts throwing and then he drops his hands, or he'll keep one hand up and one hand's here like pawing, and he'll just get cracked with the straight and his head flips back. And when he clinches on the exits, he kind of just like leans back and keeps his hands down, and he gets clipped every single time. I just don't think Rebecki's very good. He fought. Who did he fight? It was like, I think it was Nick Fior. Nick Fior sucks, bro. Nick Fior's really bad, and I think he took Nick Fior to a decision, if I remember. Yeah, he did. He took Nick Fior to a decision. Granted, he handedly beat him, but like, man, Nick Fior is fucking terrible. So, anyways, if Orolbai can limit the takedowns and not do what he did against his fight, how did he fight? It was a fight against, let's see, I think I wrote it down. Yeah, Hayward Charles. He's going to crack him early. He's going to get him hurt early. If they both do this thing where they drop their hands whenever they get the guy up against the cage, if he can not do that and find a clean exit and be careful of the gas tank as well early, he's gonna put Rebecki away. Rebecki took a lot of damage in his fight against who was it? It was his most recent one, Diego Ferreira, who knocked him out late in the third round. He took a lot of damage. So I have Orolbai by first round TKO, or even KO. He had a nasty uppercut. I think it was against Hayward Charles actually too. So or by KO. I have it early in the first round, if not second round. I don't see Rebecca being able to get through the speed and the power and the length all combined. I don't see that being able to work at all. Even with him trying to make it dirty, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be effective. All right, next up we have the featured prelim. It is against Jeff Neal and RDA. I think Neal he's too powerful. His clinch game is really good. He has really good takedown defense, like really good takedown defense. And I think if RDA is able to get Jeff Neal down, I think Jeff Neal's too good of a grappler off of his back, and I don't think that Jeff will have a problem on the ground. I don't see it happen. RDA isn't 30 anymore. He's 40. I'm pretty sure he's 40. I'll have it up there for you guys. You guys will know before me. 39. He seems to be checked out from what I saw. If you look at the UFC Embedded, I don't know if you guys watch that. If you do, you have free time, go check it out. Good videos, good little wind up to the fight, but he seems like he just wants to spend time with his family. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're fighting Jeff Neal and you're 40 and you seem like you're checked out, I think RDA just has less ways to win now that he's older. But that being said, it's RDA. He could make it dirty. If he makes it dirty and Jeff Neal buys into it, then it's just whoever lands first, really. I mean, that's just how I see it. I didn't write a prediction down for this one on my notes, but I've got Jeff Neal by decision. By decision or I'm going to go Jeff Neal by decision. There is a chance that he puts him away, but I would bank on Jeff Neal kind of just picking at range, finding his shots, not so much looking for that knockout blow. I see RDA taking a lot of damage, and maybe the doctor gets involved. Who knows? But I think Jeff Neal will win this one pretty dominantly. All right, on to the main card. So the opening fight is a fight with Shara Magomedov and Armen Petrosyan. But I think that's how you say it, Petrosyan. I'm not a big fan of Shara. I'm not too high on Shara, so to say, because I don't think that he's as good as people think he is. I think that he gets like this special treatment because he's a Dagestani and he's got one eye and it's like this big deal that he's for whatever. I don't know, man. I think like there's all this hype around him. In his last fight, he fought against Oleksiejczuk. He took him to a decision. I think Oleksiejczuk sucks. I mean, maybe that's just me. I mean, the guy's like, I think Oleksiejczuk, I don't even think he's 30 yet, and he has like 10 losses on his record. And he, granted, Shara beat him in a pretty strong decision. I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks, though. He's going to get fraud checked. That being said, I think that this fight is kind of a layup for him, something for him to build off of so that he can keep the win streak going, keep the momentum going. I think it's that Arman, he struggles against grapplers, so I think inherently this fight is just going to be more of a pick at each other at range, find the shots that they want to find the range. Whoever finds the range better is going to win the fight. And I think Shara is better at that than Petrosian is. The only way that I see Arman winning this fight is if he makes it ugly. Just because, I mean, Shara gets hit. Look, Oleksiejczuk hit him like 100 times, I think, in the strike count numbers. I've watched all the recent fights for all these main card fighters. He got cracked like a lot. So, I think if Arman can use the clinch, get him up against the fence, try and land some elbows, try and land some good shots on exits, leave it away from the center of the cage, that's the only way that I see Petrosian getting this done. Throw some, mix in the looping and the straight shots, try and use your power. But that being said, I have Shara by unanimous decision. I think that they're just kind of trying to pick at each other at range, and Shara's going to be better at that. So, who knows though? Maybe Shara can put him away, land a good head kick or something. But from what I can tell, I think Shara's gonna take it the distance and walk away with a UD. All right, next fight on the card we have Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic, which basically is just whoever wins this is getting a shot at Alex, plain and simple. Which actually today I think we got news. Yuri's supposed to be fighting Jamal Hill. I don't know. Maybe that'll talk about that in another video. But these next 3 fights, you gamblers out there are gonna either love me or hate me. But I've got back-to-back underdogs. So Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Ankalaev will make it boring if he has to, dude. Like, these Dagestanis, if they need to win the fight, they're going to do anything they can to win the fight. And a lot of times, that's hold the guy up against the cage and knee him in the thigh. And jab, throw little uppercuts to his face so the ref doesn't separate you. And just walk him down, get him up against the cage, and hold him. Ankalaev will do that. If he feels that Rakic's power is too much, or he gets hit and he's like, whoa, he'll hold him against the cage. Like, he's not afraid to do that, I think that Rakic is one of the better strikers, technically speaking, in at light heavyweight. I think his footwork is really, really good. And Ankalaev isn't Yuri. Yuri's got a weird hands at his sides style that I don't think a lot of people can adjust to unless you're Alex. But the way that I see Rakic winning this fight, and the only way that I see him winning this fight, is by neutralizing the grabbing and getting away from the fence. Excuse me. If he can chew Ankalaev's leg up, chew his leg up, stay away from the cage, stay away from the clinch game and the takedowns, find his chin on some jabs, hit that big ass. He's got Magomed's got the big ass fucking nose. Hit him it's a big target. Hit him in the nose with the jab. It sounds simple, I know, but chew up his leg. Rakic has some mean leg kicks, super heavy leg kicks. I mean, think about when Magomed fought Jan. Jan tore his leg up quick. I think if Rakic can land those leg kicks, he can stay away from the fence, keep it in the center of the cage, and pick at him, find the jab, make reads, and then land the big shot. I think he can hurt him hard, like really bad. I think that if he can get his mind off of everything upstairs, work the leg kicks, I think he can. I think he can get it done. The one thing that is scary about this, though, is Ankalaev likes to find the straight right hand off of kicks. Like when John Jones fought Lyoto Machida, John Jones would fire these leg kicks, and every time he threw the leg kick, because he's on one foot and he's throwing a kick, Lyoto would fire a straight right hand right down the pipe, and it would land every single time. And Magomed Ankalaev is really good at that as well. So if he can be wary of that and he can stay away from the cage, I have Alexander Rakic by late round TKO or even decision. I'm gonna go with TKO though. I think that the leg kicks could hurt him really bad, and he could get into a ground and pound situation where he puts him away. So underdog number 1 of 3 for these last 4 fights. Next up, we've got Dan Ige versus Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy's last fight was, I believe it was I think his last one was against Edson Barbosa. It was. Which, remember that fight a little bit? If you go back to the end of the very first round, he got hit with an up kick. He was out. Like, Lerone was out cold. Like, he got kicked with a heel to the face on an up kick, and he flopped down. It was right at the buzzer at the end of the first round. So he got up and he was wobbling all over the place. And then in the 5th round, Edson hit him with a spinning back kick to the liver. And you could tell he kind of winced at it, and he's like, fuck this, I'm shooting a takedown. The fact that Edson Barbosa was able to do, granted, the rest of the fight, it was a 5-round fight. Lerone, he beat the ever-living shit out of him for the rest of the fight. But Edson was able to find shots. And I think there's 2 types of fighters that are going to be able to land on Lerone. And it's guys who are at the top of the division, obviously. I don't think he's better than anybody in the top 5 right now at featherweight. I don't think so. It's either going to be one of those guys or a guy like Edson Barbosa, who's just a veteran. Dan Ige's a veteran. And I think Dan Ige has more power than Edson Barbosa does. So, we obviously know that Lerone has the gas tank to go 5 rounds. But does he have the chin to take those big shots from Ige on the inside? Those hooks, those uppercuts in close. Does he have that? I don't know. I don't know if he does. Danny Ige stepped in on 1 hour notice against Diego Lopez, which he looked good. He gave Diego Lopez some problems, bro. There were some shots that Ige landed, and you could see, Diego was, kind of shook. He was like, what the fuck? I didn't sign up for this. I thought this was going to be, this dude was getting up off the couch, which he did, and he still put it on him. That being said, if you look at Ige's record, he doesn't really lose to anybody outside of the top 10. And we don't know a lot about Lerone Murphy yet. He hasn't beaten anybody good. He beat Joshua Kulabau. He beat Gabriel Santos. He beat Gabriel Santos and Kulabau. They're not bad, but they're not top 15. He beat Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa's 40. We don't know if Lerone Murphy's good yet or not, based off of his past performances. He didn't put any of those guys away. So, he's been in the UFC for 5 years. He's unbeaten. But EA doesn't lose to these kind of guys. He doesn't. And he's another underdog. I have EA by unanimous decision. It's a 3-round fight. Until I see Lerone Murphy prove himself against a guy like Dan Ige, I'm not all in on it. I don't believe it. I think Ige is a better boxer. I think they're both really good boxers. I think this is going to be one of the better fights this could win fight of the night, honestly. I have Dan Ige by decision. I just think he's the more experienced guy in terms of the top guys in that division. He fought Diego Lopez. He gave Diego Lopez more problems than Brian Ortega did, and he stepped in on an hour notice. I think Dan Ige is a lot better than people realize, and I think this style suits Dan Ige better. And we saw Lerone Murphy get put out cold. Obviously, the fight didn't get stopped because it was at the bell. He was out. Out. Go look at there's a free fight. You can watch it on YouTube. Go to the very end of the first round. He gets hit with an up kick, and he flops down unconscious. Ige's powerful. If he lands a shot, he's going out. Plain and simple. That's how I see it. So, Danny Ige by decision or even a late round knockout. All right, next fight on the card, we've got, I wrote Robert Whittaker, not even Robert. Sorry, Bobby. Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. I have a problem with Khamzat. I think there's always something wrong with him, like when he fought Usman, and in the first round he excuse me, for the whole round he was just working him in the first round, and it was like, oh, why didn't you finish him? You had so many different opportunities, couldn't get the finish. Oh, my hand was broken. Okay, well, before that, he had a fight with Nate Diaz. What happened? You missed weight by 8 pounds. Oh, the doctor told me to stop. Okay. Has a fight booked after that against, I don't remember who. He had like 2 more fights booked after that. Oh, he got sick, brother. I was going to die. I almost died. Doctor told me stop. Okay, weird. Another fight happens. Oh, I puking blood, brother. It's like, there's always something wrong. Even if the fight happens, it's like, oh, I had this going on, or I had this going on, or this was broken, or, and he's been gone for, I don't know, how long has he been gone for? He fought Usman a year ago, and he's not some young and up-and-coming guy anymore. He's 30. He's 30 years old. He's not like Ilia. He's not 26, 27. He's 30. And his gas tank, from what we've seen, sucks. We saw it against Usman. Usman won. I had that fight as a draw, by the way. The way I scored it, I had it 27-27. I had Usman winning the second and the third, with a 10-8 in the first by Khamzat. That's a story for another time. His gas tank sucked against Gilbert. He finished Kevin Holland. Who cares? Kevin Holland's cool or whatever, I guess. He's a funny, weird guy, but it's Kevin Holland, man. He couldn't finish Usman on I think it was 10 days notice when he fought him. It's arguable that Usman even won that fight. And his gas tank sucks from what we've seen. In the Usman fight, he got tired. In the Burns fight, he got tired. This is a 5-rounder. Can he make it past the third round? Like, if he fought Usman and that fight went 5 rounds, it would have been clear cut, easy. Usman won that fight because it was not going good for Khamzat at the end of that third round. He was able to get Usman down. He couldn't finish him though, and I think he's better on the ground than Usman, off his back at least. Can he finish the fight down there? I don't know if he can. Like, the guys he's finished are not good. You look back, he beat the shit out of Gerald Meerschaert. Who gives a fuck? Beat the shit out of Reese Key. Li Jingliang. We see now the Leech is not as good as we thought he was. Kevin Holland. And then he fights 2 good guys in Gilbert and Kamaru, and he can't finish them. I think Robert's better than Kamaru. I think he's better than Gilbert Burns. I think that if Robert makes it out of the first 2 rounds, I think he's going to beat the ever-living shit out of him. And he doesn't need to make it ugly like Gilbert Burns did. He can sit at range and start tapping at him for the first 2 rounds, stay alive. Again, it's in Abu Dhabi. It's going to be humid. It's going to be hot. Khamzat's going to get tired. He's going to get tired. I promise you. If it makes it out of the first 2 rounds, he's getting tired. And Whittaker's sharp. He has a gas tank. He's really good off his back. And I think if he can look for that 1-2 head kick in the later rounds, work off of his feints, work off a jab in those later rounds. I have Robert Whittaker by late round TKO. That's what I have. I think Khamzat's going to gas out. He hasn't been in the octagon for a year. I think that layoff is going to hurt him. He's been sick nonstop. I think that'll hurt him as well. It sounds crazy, but I think Robert Whittaker is gonna. How big of an underdog is Robert? Plus 200. He's not even that big of an underdog. I thought it was bigger, but I think Whittaker's that good. I think he's that good. The Ikram Alaskarov fight showed it. He can work off feints. He can beat these guys. I mean, the last guy to beat Alaskarov like that was Khamzat, so who knows? But I think Whittaker's too sharp, and he's been in some wars, and his chin's good. His chin has gotten better. When he took that wheel kick from Paulo, I thought he was going out, and he wobbled for a second, and then he was right back. He can take a shot. He can defend takedowns. He can defend submissions very well, and he has a gas tank. I think that's going to be the difference. I think it is. So, Whittaker by late round TKO or unanimous decision if Khamzat's able to survive past those 4th and 5th rounds. On to the main event of the evening. I'm so excited for this fight. By the way, this card is absolutely incredible. What can you expect, though? It is, Dana does as he's told when it comes to, Abu Dhabi. If they want a damn good card, they're going to get a damn good card because Dana's going to get a lot of fucking money. So, there you go. Anyways, I am so excited for this fight. I am a big fan of both of these guys. Bless me. But there can only be one winner. And that sucks. But what I have written down here as my first note is Ilia can starch anybody cold. Anybody. Yes, he can starch Max. I promise you. He can starch Max out cold. If he connects right. And the way he's going to do that is by cutting off the cage and doing what he did with Volk. We saw when Max Holloway fought TKZ, before TKZ got, flatlined, TKZ landed some really good shots on Max. And he hit Max and had him backing up against the cage. And Max was kind of like flustered, like didn't know what to do. Against TKZ. If Ilia puts that kind of pressure on Max like he did against Volk, where he cut the cage off and he threw a flurry at him and he connects, Max will go out just like Volk did. Maybe not that bad. That was bad. I don't want to think about that. That makes me sad. But he'll hurt him at bare minimum. He'll hurt him really bad. And if you go back and watch, I think the UFC dropped the free fight for that Volk and Ilia fight. Ilia is not going to win this fight against Max by just boxing. He needs to do what he did against Volk, and that is chew up that leg. Chew up the leg. Really good. If you beat up that front leg, you're going to get him moving back. You're going to get him backed up against the cage, and he's going to try and look for a way to exit and a way to rotate the cage, and you can cut him off and throw a flurry at him. That's how you beat Max. You throw flurries at him. He doesn't do good under pressure like that. Max Holloway's been overwhelmed by a lot of different guys. When Volk threw combinations at him, Max didn't know what to do. He just he took all of them on the chin. When TKZ threw a bunch of shots at him, he couldn't do it. He was like freaking out and flustered. And then once he got his wits about him, he fired back and fucking put him out cold. But it's TKZ, so. Even in the Calvin Kattar fight, Calvin Kattar was like, hey, did you see Max's face in that fight? He was not like, I'm the best boxer in UFC. It sure as hell didn't fucking look like it. He was bleeding all over the place. He's got scar tissue built up everywhere. Max needs to find a way to exit safely. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times that's going to be through the clinch. Because if he tries to exit out like Volk did, by either backing up with his chin in the air or trying to exit out through the side, he's going to get caught. Ilia's too good of a boxer. He is. Max needs to stay in the center. He can't get backed up against the cage. He can't let Ilia's pressure get to him. And when Max needs to, he needs to fire that spinning back kick when Ilia ducks down. Ilia ducks down a lot when he throws those looping shots. Obviously, he keeps a high guard. He's always very aware of where he is, even when he is throwing those stance-switching combinations. He knows where he is, but if Max just jumps up and fires that kick, he could do the same thing that he did to Gaethje and break his nose. But Max throws a lot of body kicks, switch body kicks. Ilia counters those really well. You can see it in that Volk fight. You can see the way he counters them. But I think we could see Max get put out. I honestly do think that. I think Max will land. Don't get me wrong. Max is he's too good of a striker not to land. He'll find ways to create openings against Ilia. Ilia's not some untouchable force that just can't. No one's gonna be able to touch him, or he's not gonna be like that. Max will find ways to hit him. he might even hurt him at times. Who knows? Because Max throws in a lot of combinations as well. But this fight is going to be determined by who's moving forward and who's moving backward, who's controlling the center of the octagon, if that makes sense. You know, all the technical exchanges between, like, oh, Max went to throw a teep kick and Ilia stepped off and fired a right hand and caught him down the pipe. Like, all that's cool or whatever, but it's who's in the middle of the octagon, who's moving forward. That's what I think is going to determine who wins this fight. So that being said, after all that, I think I have Ilia by KO or decision, more likely decision, because I think in order for him to put Max out, he's gonna have to land the perfect shot like he did with Volk. Another thing, by the way, I can't believe I almost forgot to say this. Max consciously bulked up to get to 155 pounds. Consciously. He made an effort to put on muscle mass to get up to 55 rather. So he fights at 45, goes up to 55, and now he's cutting right back down to 45 after he put up on that weight. His chin isn't going to be, as good. Hypothetically. Because it's Max Holloway. Who knows? Hopefully he has a healthy weight cut. Because if he doesn't, and this fight gets called off, I'll riot. Who's the favorite in this fight? Ilia, minus 238. I've got Ilia. I've got him by either KO or unanimous decision. I think if he lands that one clean shot, I don't think Max is going to be able to take it. We saw Gaethje hit him clean on the temple, and it dropped him. I think Gaethje's overrated personally, but I think if Ilia is able to land a shot like that, he'll land it cleaner, first of all, and secondly, he's more powerful and more technical than Justin Gaethje is. So, that being said, let me know what you think. I'll put all of the predictions right here just in case you wanted to check it out. But let me know what you guys think. I'll put up all the socials for this account up as well at the end. But appreciate you. I'll see you. I'll post reactions and such. Post reactions and such to the fights and all that, and possibly the press conferences. Who knows? Those are kind of getting boring nowadays, but who knows? So, peace.